here, man. I'm here with Kris Caban and Blood Boxing. He was talking with you, bro.
All right, man. What's going on?
Go Blood. What's that?
Hey, man. What's this about me being a fanboy, man? I heard your little interview.
Oh, what is that with that fanboy word that's upsetting so many people, man?
I know, but I'm just saying though. How am I a fanboy though, man? When I'm representing boxing in the whole, man.
Who's this? Blood?
Yeah,
it's Blood Boxing.
Blood Boxing. Oh, fanboy. Let me give you an example. I think in one of your videos you were talking about how many fighters are just hype, and you ended it with, but Keith Thurman is the real thing. Yeah. Keith Thurman hasn't faced anyone. He hasn't done anything in boxing. But for you, he's the real deal. And I'm like, oh, that's a fanboy. My goodness. Like,
no, man, that doesn't equate to being a fanboy because I picked out a certain boxer that I like.
The thing is,
I mean, all the knowledge that I've dropped on YouTube, there's no way you can call me a fanboy. All the historical knowledge, I'm a boxing encyclopedia, brother.
No, so you are. I mean, I've been listening, watching your videos for years. I mean, but you're also stuck in the 80s. You think that's the era of boxing? It's like everything happened in boxing at that period of time. You know, it's like,
man, I talk about the 70s and the 90s too. I cover the 70s, the 80s, and 90s to the fullest.
Yeah, I know. But to me, someone who like to me, the fight is what matters. Like that's what I go by. Like the
okay,
fight.
but the fights today are not happening like they should, though. So that's the only stance that I take, and the reason why I picked out Keith Thurman, since that's your hang-up, is because this is a guy who is willing to challenge whoever he needs to challenge to get to that next level. And I like his mentality, and that's what I meant is that he has an old school mentality, because sometimes in a video we don't have the time to explain everything, or somebody might pick something out that they don't like that you say, and we didn't elaborate on that certain point. And for me, when I said that Keith Thurman is the man, maybe I didn't elaborate on it, but my stance is that he's willing to step in there with whoever he needs to step in there with to get to that next level. And that's the stance that I took. But a fanboy, I'm definitely not. It's kind of unfair to call me a fanboy because of one Keith Thurman comment.
Let me ask you, how do you define a fanboy? I mean, what does that mean? Because it seems like, I don't know if everyone has the same definition of what a fanboy is. Or maybe the way I see it is just not the way everyone sees it as what a fanboy is.
So
what is a fanboy for
asking
you?
me how do I define a fanboy?
Yeah, what does that mean?
A fanboy is somebody who picks a certain fighter. Like if we're talking boxing, for instance, or a team, they pick a certain fighter and they don't know nothing about the sport, but they just pick a certain fighter and they kind of neglect the rest of the sport. They turn themselves focus on only one person. Whereas me, I've never done anything like that. When I accuse people of being fanboys, on my perspective, like if I say you're a Flomo or you're a fanboy, basically I'm saying you don't know nothing about boxing other than Floyd Mayweather and what you hear come out of Floyd Mayweather's mouth. Or you're a Floyd Mayweather follower, you're a fan of Floyd, or you're a fan of Pacquiao or whoever. You know, so that's my definition. My definition of a fanboy is somebody who neglects all the other parts and focuses on one team or one individual. That's my definition of fan.
Oh, okay.
And
to me,
that, I'm definitely not.
Well, Rise pretty much feels like he's not a fanboy either. I guess he's not a fanboy if you put it that way. To me, anyone that takes fighter that hasn't faced anyone and hasn't done anything in the ring and thinks so highly of that fighter is a fanboy. In this case, Keith Thurman, no way. It's like, no, he hasn't done anything for anyone to say that this is the real thing. Or let's say someone comes with Gennady Golovkin as the big thing in boxing, or Wilder, or even Chisora in the United Kingdom. To me, those are the fanboys that they worship these fighters without them doing anything in the ring.
But see, I was looking at it more in a mentality aspect. Like, he has the mentality of what I think a fighter is about. When I said he, on the mentality aspect, his mentality, I didn't mean that he's been in there and he's fought Mayweather, he's fought Bradley, he's fought Pacquiao, he's fought Robert Guerrero, because when you get down to it, a lot of these guys, some of them has fought each other, but if we take it back to the 90s or the 80s or the 70s, we will look at a top 10, and I'm going to do a video like this one day, and you will find in the top 10 that 90% of these fighters, or maybe all of them, have fought each other at one point. I did a video on that when I talked about 1980s, and I gave examples of Marlon Starlin, Mark Breland. I talked about that era. Marlon Starlin, Mark Breland, Lloyd Honeyghan, Mike McCallum, Michael. Come to find out, a lot of these guys have fought each other, and some of these guys even challenged themselves by moving up and fighting the middleweight king of the time, which is Michael Nunn. So I always use an analogy of boxing. I take it back and I back my shit up. So I don't see how that could equate to being a fanboy.
Oh my goodness! I don't know. This is I don't know how it happened. It just got so popular, I guess. This fanboy term. It seems like everyone is really, they don't like that term of a fanboy. For some reason, especially those that follow the sport very closely, like yourself. I mean, I know you know boxing. I mean, you got your angle. You always focus on one aspect of the sport. But, my goodness, I think you're great, and I really like what you do.
Okay, but fanboys, it's an individualized analogy. It's individualized, man. It's individualized perspective. That's what it is. It's an individualized perspective on you focusing on one team or one individual that you like the most, and you don't pay no attention to the rest of the sport. I don't know if Errol and Kris agree with me on that. I don't know how they see it, but that's how I see it, though.
Like if you read all my comments, so every time I talk about boxing, my thing is always the quality of the fight, and the winner gets the props. That's how I go about the sport. I don't go about the potential of a fighter. To me, once you leave on the potential, you're a fanboy. And I'm always pinpointing, like, there they go, the fanboy. Oh, this is a fanboy. What I'm trying to say is, the fight, this sport, at least from my perspective, from my side, this sport is really messed up right now. Because there's nothing exciting going on in boxing. Like, all these fights that have been going on this year, and up to now, there's nothing exciting that's going to take place in boxing this year. Why? Because of the fanboys. The fanboys, they want to see their heroes take on this weak competition and look great. And all I'm saying is, like, let's stop this. Let's see real fights. Stop hyping this crap. Like Keith Thurman. Who is he fighting next? My goodness.
Yeah, but it's not his fault, though, because of the politics. You can't blame it fully on Keith Thurman, because...
No, but the thing is, like, not really. I mean, seriously, these fighters, they have a say in their careers. It's not like they're just puppets. They just thrown whatever they want to be thrown. I mean, these are are individuals that have a say, and a big say in their careers. Keith Thurman could put his foot down. It's like, cut the crap, I'm not at this level, Give me something better. I'm paying you to do a job, so do your job. It's not like, yes, master, yes, sir. This is who I'm going to fight, yes, sir. That's not true. We're always trying to put the blame on someone. But the truth is, these fighters, they have to have some pride, too. They have to get involved in their careers. They are the product.
But Keith Thurman has deviated outside of that robot mentality by calling out fighters. Now, is it all his fault? How do we know that Al Heyman didn't place a gag order on him? The problem is the people at the top. People need to start calling out the people at the top, too. They need to call out the Richard Schaefers and the Al Heymans and stop supporting their stuff. That's the only way it's going to happen. If we as fans, I even saw Brandon Rios, and ES News put a video up the other day where he asked Brandon Rios, what can we do to get these fights to happen? You versus Garcia and all of that. And Rios said straight up, he gave the right answer. He said that the fans have to do something. It's the only way it's going to happen. And I really thank Rios for saying that, because it's the truth. If we continue to support bullcrap cards, then we're going to get the same result every time.
And that's what's been going on. Every time that this fights are taking place, this arena, I don't know if they just gave away those tickets to put a front for the television audience, but these arenas are packed. I'm like, what the hell? These people are actually paying for this crap, But those arenas are packed, and people just love it. Look at Canelo versus Angulo. How is it that could be a sold-out arena? How is it that they could make such huge numbers on pay-per-view? I mean, this is a non-quality fight. This is crap. But look how much...
And that's a good question, and that's where it goes back to what guys like us are doing. Any of us who have YouTube channels, that's why we put it out there to stop supporting this fight, because the casual fan doesn't know, because they use imagery to fool the casual fan by making these claims and comparing them to the legends. Like, for instance, comparing Broner's accomplishments to that of a Thomas Hearns, which I heard the other day in the conference call, which really made me very angry. And my stance is that at this point on YouTube, as a boxing fan, I have to defend the sport, and I have to tell people the truth. Like, look, Broner's accomplishments do not add up to what Thomas Hearns did because of X, Y, and Z. And then not only that, but at the same time, we have to let these casual fans know that, hey, you're not looking at the welterweight champion when you're looking at Floyd Mayweather, Maidana, Porter, because there's 4 of them right now, or 5. So the casual fan doesn't understand this, that when somebody's being promoted as the champion, that they're not the only champion out there. There's 4 or 5 of them. So what they're doing is they're using false imagery to lure in the casual fan. And it's our job to let the casual fan know what the game is all about.
Right. I mean, that's the whole thing about the fanboy term. Every time, because I really love this sport. I really enjoy the sport, and I follow it very closely. And I enjoy talking about boxing. I enjoy listening about boxing. So every time I watch his videos, and I always go, let's not glamorize these fighters. Let's glamorize the fight. So we should become boxing fans. Because for a while I've been using fighters fan, but no one has been paying much attention. Oh, you're the fighters fan. You're the fighters fan.
You just said we're not getting the fights we want. So how are we going to glamorize something that we don't want? That's kind of setting the wrong. That's not sending the right message. You said that we're not getting any fights that we want, So why are we going to glamorize the fight if we're not getting the fight we want? Why glamorize the fight?
Yeah,
That's the wrong way to go about it.
But that's when it comes down to, oh, this fighter is the real fighter, or this other fighter is a great fighter, or this guy. So what we're saying is like these fighters are that good. You know, the fights are not taking place, but these guys are good. So we pretty much saying the same thing. Like, yeah, we love these guys. We love them. No, but we should love the fight. If there's not a fight, like, for example, once again, and I'm sorry for bringing it up, Keith Thurman versus Diaz, we should be saying this is crap, bullshit. You know, there's a bullshit Thurman. You know, this is a coward. This is a pussy. He shouldn't be fucking stepping in that ring with this kind of fucking competition. But instead we're saying, no, Thurman has the courage. Thurman has the heart. Thurman is like the old-time fighters. But he's not, because of the competition he's facing. And that's my point. My point is like Shumanov versus Bernard Hopkins, a unification championship fight. Bullshit. This is crap. 2 paper champions, 2 paper belt holders stepping in the ring to make a mockery of the sport. You know, that makes, to me it's like, oh, you getting it. You get this sport because you're calling it as it is. Because it's gonna be crap. I mean, as a boxing fan, as someone who's been following the sport and been watching so many fights, I want to see beauty in that ring. I want to see real skills, because that's what really makes me exciting about a fight. But not this crap. Not Diaz versus versus Keith Thurman. You know, like who's fighting Khan? Khan's fighting Luis Colasso? Really? That crap? And they're gonna make it.
So you're saying that we should glamorize and be critical, and also be critical towards the fight, rather than glamorize and be critical towards the fighters. Is what you're saying, basically.
The thing is, the fighters are very prideful people. They love that attention. They love to be like Bronner. He hasn't done shit in boxing. He has been given how many gift decisions already, but all the attention that he gets, he loves that crap, and he truly believes he's this incredible fighter, but he hasn't done anything in the ring. And he has been facing such a low opposition, very small fighters, fighters that cannot fight back, only the heel fighters. But the ratings, according to the reports that I've been reading, they huge, the biggest ratings on television, and he truly feels that he's this great fighter because of the attention that he gets. And fighters, when they are treated like shit, they step up in competition. Oscar de la Hoya.
Let's use the Keith Thurman example. He's fighting Diaz, but that's not all Keith Thurman's fault. Keith Thurman would have fought Broner. But see, we have to, as fight fans, we have to question these networks. For instance, them giving Broner an exclusive interview after a loss. Why not give that interview to Keith Thurman? Then people could be aware of all of the components that make up a champion and what's out there. We need to be aware of everyone that's out there and stop using false imagery. Like, false imagery to me is showcasing Broner on an exclusive with Showtime when you got several other fighters that have been winning their fights. Give these guys some attention too. And that's all I'm saying. So
yeah, they should, but the thing is, Al Heyman is an entertainment promoter. So Al Heyman is taking the sport into the entertainment aspect. He's not a boxing fan. He doesn't understand that concept. So for him, it's just entertainment. Whoever has the personality and brings the ratings, that's who he's going to promote, because that's what brings the money. Schaefer is a banker, a businessman, nothing to do with boxing. So these are the two people that are running the sport. So we know with Heyman's mentality and Schaefer's background as a businessman, they're going to take it as an entertainment, as the WWE. That's where boxing is heading right now, into that entertainment sport, not into the sport of boxing. You know. And
okay, you made a lot of good points, and I agree with what you're saying. But to distinguish certain people, they're bigging up certain fighters, I think that's the wrong stance to take. Especially if the person who's promoting a fighter has already covered some of the other aspects going on. Like I said in that same video, I mentioned that there was 5 welterweight champions, or 4 or 5 welterweight champions, and Keith Thurman didn't have a belt.
But doesn't he have a belt? He has the interim WWE.
Somebody who's just saying.
Hello? Yeah, I'm sorry.
We still here.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, okay.
I feel you had network problems there, blood. Continue, blood. Go ahead. TJ1, where you at, man? It's noisy in the background there, boy.
Yeah, my sound is talking loud down there.
Okay, blood, you still there?
I'm still here.
Yeah, go ahead, blood. Continue with saying you just broke up a bit. Go ahead.
So your blood, basically that's what I'm saying. It's like I mean, everybody, I respect everyone's opinion and take on the sport. It's like and whatever, I just enjoy it. And I also want to make it fun. You know, I know sometimes people take it like I take it too far, but I'm just having fun. It's like, you're the fanboy. You know, this, whatever. You know, like, especially when you call the fighters, it's a pussy. Like, they get all aggravated, you know, because that is
okay,
just
so
fun.
basically you admit now that I'm not a fan.
What I'm saying is, Blood, by you making sound like Keith has done something in the sport, you are a fanboy. According to how I understand.
No, I was talking about it on mentality.
No, yeah, I mean, I didn't get it that way. I thought you meant this guy has done something in boxing, that's why he is the truth, you know. But that's the way I look at it. It's like, what has he done? Like, for example, I've been called a nut hugger for years. Everybody, not everybody, but a lot of fans call me that I have this blind devotion to Floyd Mayweather, right? And but then you look at his record and you look at what he's done. Then the story is a different story, because the facts will, you know, truly define what I'm saying, you know, because this man has done better than anyone else. You know, because they say like, he dubbed this fighter, and he dubbed this other fighter. But these fighters that they glamorizing, they've been knocked out by mediocre competition. So what is so great about these fighters that people are glamorizing as the fighters that Mayweather has done? You know, I'm not a Mayweather fan. All I'm saying is like, this man so far has been impeccable. His record, and every time he steps in the ring, he performs. There's never an excuse. You know, Garcia versus Herrera.
The problem with Mayweather is that he's picking and choosing fights. He left us a poll, and I'm using examples of what he done now. He left us a poll. He left us 2 names, Amir Khan and Marcos Maidana. Okay, there's several other fighters that are in that division, yet they're promoting him as the pound-for-pound king, yet we have yet to see what he could even do against some of the BC-level opponents, which in the past, we have seen B and C-level opponents beat A-level fighters. We've seen it several times. We've seen fighters who are more skilled than other fighters lose to fighters. They have like opponents. Even if they have like opponents in the triangle theory, we've seen how that works. You know, I could go into examples, several of them, all day if you want me to. But the fact of the matter is that Floyd Mayweather is not using the same format as these past champions. So I'm saying don't compare him to past champions. He's a great fighter, but it's kind of hard to compare him to past champions with this new format of the way they're doing things, and they're picking the fights. You know,
like who would you use as an example of past champions?
What? Who? Past champions?
You're saying like Mayweather is taking a different route than former or past champions that has done better.
Look at what he's done. Like, for instance, this bullshit poll. I'll take the most recent example, the bullshit poll. Like, you know, he left us with two fighters who really we would have liked to see him fight other fighters. You know,
who would you like to see him fight?
Well, the way I look at it, he was fighting at 154. He moved up. He fought Canelo at a catch weight of 152. If you're going to campaign at 154, why not fight Laura? If you're not going to fight Laura, then come down and fight a fighter, a black fighter, or a fighter who's slick. Since people want to get all personal about the black thing, okay, I'll say slick fighter. Come and fight a slick fighter, or fight somebody who, you know, a lot of these fighters in the past fought the unknown. They fought the unknown fighter, and sometimes they took losses to the unknown fighter. They would get upset by the unknowns.
Other than Lara, who would you say would be a good opponent?
Who would be a good opponent for Floyd Mayweather?
Yeah, other than Lara.
Ton of them, man. A good example is Manny Pacquiao. I hate to go in on it, but look, this is a fight. If this was the 1980s politics, we wouldn't have went 5 years without this big fight occurring. It would not have happened.
Let me ask
you got to give the unknown, and another thing too, you got to give the unknown a chance, because a lot of unknown fighters made their names off of getting a chance against somebody who we all thought was going to win. I had no idea that Iran Barkley was going to beat Thomas Hearns at that time. I had no idea that that was going to happen. You know, so that's an example right there.
But that's when it comes down to the Ivan Barkleys of the world. Most likely will not beat Mayweather. I mean, they will get the beating so bad. This inept Barkley will never have a chance against someone like Mayweather. That's what Thomas Hearns.
We can say that all we want, but there's been several times where there's been upsets. And these upsets have occurred, and people would think that, you know, these big time champions can't lose. And upsets have occurred in the past. So who's to say that Mayweather's above an upset? You have a lot of undefeated. One of the points I tried to make was that, like, for instance, when Marlon Starling was the champ and when Donald Curry was the champ, they fought undefeated fighters. They fought fighters who might have had one loss. They didn't write people off because they had one loss. That's another thing, too, this undefeated thing. But
isn't that the ultimate goal for a fighter, to fight every top competition in their prime and walk away with an undefeated record? Because boxing is competition. And basically, at least as a fan, I'm always looking for that somewhat.
Maybe you walk away with an undefeated record, but the first part you said is you just said, isn't it their goal to fight all the fighters in their prime? That's what's not occurring. Yeah, I'm sure they all would like to be undefeated, and I'm sure that if Thomas Hearns or Ray Leonard would have taken a different route, and Thomas Hearns said, "Nah, I don't want to fight Parker. Who is he?" I'm sure he could have taken another route. And
no, but you're saying you. I don't know if you're insinuating or saying that Mayweather hasn't faced anyone. That's not true.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that he's not the top welterweight because there's 4 or 5 welterweight champions. And I looked at it and none of them have fought each other. None of those welterweight champions fought each other.
Porter is not ready. I mean, Porter got that decision against Alexander, but he's not ready. He's a green fighter. You know, Porter should be fighting Thurman. So that fight.
Why weren't people were saying the same thing about Terry Norris because he lost to Julian Jackson? He was KO'd by Jackson. They said, man, who's this kid fighting Leonard? Man, he ain't ready for Leonard. The next thing you know, this dude spent Leonard's ass.
When he faced Leonard, Terry Norris was the favorite in that fight. I mean, it was like, oh my goodness, they're gonna get Leonard to take his beating. No, Terry Norris at that time, he was the dominant 154. He was like pretty much everyone knew that Leonard was gonna.
Julian Jackson.
Yeah, he got knocked out by
because
Julian Jackson.
I remember thinking myself, like, who is this guy fighting Leonard? This is the guy who got knocked out by Jackson. You know, but in today's politics, he would have been overlooked. He would have been, you know, similar to that of a young fighter today. He would have been wrote off as somebody who's already taken a loss, or, you know, he don't have a chance. He ain't ready. Because I even heard people saying that then, and we didn't have social media then. So that's just the example I'm giving. Floyd Mayweather is not using the same format as the legends from the past, and I could go into several things, and we could have this conversation for hours.
But Blood, you're saying, look, Mayweather. Right now, we're talking about Alvarez as someone who didn't have a shot, who didn't have a chance. But before the fight, Canelo was probably big fighter that Mayweather will never take on. And when he took on Alvarez, the catch weight was the big deal. Mayweather was moving up from 147 to 152, and Canelo was coming from 154 to 152, but nobody pays any attention about how small Mayweather is. Barely he could make 147 when he's in shape. And this guy moving up to 154, they only looked at that aspect of the catch weight.
But see, there's a problem with that too, because if you look back on the past, a lot of great fighters moved up and fought guys bigger than them. Did Alexis Arguello fight guys bigger than him? Did Duran fight guys bigger than him? Roy Jones, he skipped over cruiserweight. He fought Ruiz. Was he not bigger? So don't compare this guy to other guys when he didn't do what he did. Is he begged for catch weight?
You're talking about Ruiz, John Ruiz. Pretty much, John Ruiz is a punching bag in that ring.
I'm just using that as an example. I'm saying
you're talking about the weight class
to move up to fight bigger guys than
Sugar Ray Robinson.
A lot of fighters moved up to fight bigger fighters. That's something that's been going on since the 30s. Armstrong did it. I mean, it's been going on even before then. It was going on even way back in the day.
Yeah, I mean that's why he's one of the greats, because he had 3 belts, I think, simultaneously, and he defended those belts up and down. I mean, we get it. You know,
the example that I'm using is that fighters in the past did that. Like, we're asking too much of Floyd Mayweather to move up, but it was okay for Marlon Starling to move up and fight Michael Nunn, though. But it's not okay. We're asking way too much of Mayweather to move up and fight 40-year-old Sergio Martinez, when the welterweights from that time, Curry and them, they moved up and fought a young middleweight fighter. You know, Mike McCallum moved up. A lot of these guys moved up, man, and fought guys who were naturally bigger than them. And some of these guys were not in that weight class. They still moved up.
All these fighters, they lost because they moved beyond their weight class. I mean, for someone to suggest that Mayweather should go up to middleweight, it's just the challenge is just beyond his potential. There's no way this guy
so
could...
right there, you're pretty much saying that he can't compare to the legends of the past. So you pretty much agree with me now.
No, but you're looking at that aspect on the weight class. If you move up this much, then you could be compared to the past greats. But we're looking at what you've done in the ring. In your weight class, everyone that has stepped in the ring, and Mayweather he started at 130, and he's fighting at 154. It's not like he just fought in one weight class. He's been moving up in different classes. But the thing is, in the ring, against mediocre competition, Mayweather's
not 130. Mayweather's been a welterweight for over 10 years now.
But it's okay.
Nearly 10 years.
That's his weight class. I mean,
But he can fight TJ1. He can fight Sergio Martinez. Sergio Martinez fought at welterweight before. And he's a small welterweight.
The problem with Sergio Martinez is that Moray beat the crap out of Martinez. You have to win too. It's like Blood just said. Oh, it would be great if he didn't say great, but it would be good if Mayweather could fight Pacquiao. Pacquiao got knocked out. These people have to win too. They have to look good. They have to be ready.
I'm sorry to cut y'all off, man, but I got something just come up, man. I'm gonna call y'all back.
Okay, Blood.
All right, Blood. Take care.
All right, man. Thanks a lot, TG.
All right, man. All right, Blood. See you in a bit. Bye.